Squirrel.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Spencer. We're swapped around.
Huh?
We're swapped around again. Hold on.
Yeah, but I know you do it on purpose. Why does she have just me? You next time you turn us back on before you hit end on the intro video.
I didn't know. I was afraid it was. Hold on. I was afraid it was going to put you up there. So, whatever. Hush. Don't ask me to do it.
Boys, it's
Hey,
hard.
y'all.
Hey, everybody. How are y'all? We're live. How's it going?
Man, just dealing with life. Dealing with life every day.
I don't know about where y'all are, but it rained like hell for a couple days here yesterday and the day before. And then I think it's calling for rain for the next 5 days, which is putting the whammy on the job that I'm doing because I'm building a deck right now.
We'll give you some time off.
Yeah, I need to get this job done. Anyway, Gary, you keep saying that. Hold on. Everybody, please, I don't know what the deal is. I tried to look on Facebook and find out. I don't know what the deal is with Phyllis and John Lamb, but apparently they're in need of prayer, and we always need to address that at the top of the show. And
if nothing else, Gary, I mean, if you don't want to go public, send me a private message or something.
And look, Noble, why are you in chat? I sent you a link to this show. Noble, get your tail in here.
Yeah, Patrick, where are you?
Every time I try to get Noble on the show, he doesn't want to come on.
Oh, Phyllis, I'm sorry.
What's wrong?
Her daddy passed away.
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
We just knew that Gary was saying that y'all were in need of prayer. Man, that's horrible, Phyllis. I'm sorry, darling.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it bad. There ain't nothing like losing your father. And yes, we will be praying, and thank goodness we got a bunch of folks in here will be too.
Well, as much as that sucks, Phyllis, I mean, there are no words that come for that kind of thing. We will pray for you. I'm glad to see, not that you're in chat, not that you're here, but I'm glad to see that you're doing okay and everything. I mean, I'm glad we knew, because I was concerned and couldn't figure out what the deal was.
Yeah.
Anyway, hello to everybody else in chat, moderators that we have in there. Thank you very much. Gary, thank you for passing on the message and all that kind of stuff. If anybody else needs prayer, let us know and we'll get you on the list and everything. One thing you can say about the people that we are associated with and everybody in our group, everybody that has come to the meet and greet, everybody that we talk to, by God, we're a big family. And it's not like some of these other YouTube shows where everything is all drama. At least we all love and support each other. So we got that on our side.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's what I keep telling everybody. They don't realize. I mean, the group of guys and ladies that's in this, it's like a big family. That's why I call it the tribe. I mean, it's amazing just the support that, calls and messages, and it's unreal. I mean, just like me having ankle surgery. I mean, I've had hundreds of people message me, private message, tell me that they're praying for me, ask me if there's anything I could do for me. I mean, it's overwhelming.
You know what's funny is, like, us and Roger and Peyton, we have like a private text, which I don't really participate but we have before Greg says anything, but we have a private text, right? And then Greg stays on like live streams. He'll go get on the phone and do like FaceTimes with like River Morris and David Blaylock and Jeffrey Yarrington and everybody else. And they have started doing their own chats. And it's like we all have these back channels where everybody is talking to everybody and we're all intercommunicating. Anyway, all right, guys, we are going to get on with the show. We've got supposed to be Subscriber Sunday, which was a really cool title that I think was Sharon came up with that. Yep.
Yeah. Good job on that, Sharon.
Yes. And look, I was trying to guilt Sharon on Facebook about she needs to come on here.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. I mean, look, if nothing else, I want to hear her accent.
Yes, me too. Sharon, right now, you can come on too. But anyway, next time we do one of these, we'll just make it a free for all and put the open link down at the bottom, and then anybody that wants to jump on can jump on. But today, we have, where are they? Let me see here. Hold on, Craig Schultz.
Let me get it.
Nah, I got it. After you did the intro, I'm not sure I trust your ability to load somebody on there. And we have Mr. Craig Schultz and Mr. Randy Brooks. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Hey, fellas.
Everything's good in the hood.
Craig, say hello. Speak up, Craig.
You got the Kentucky bunch here, it looks like.
Yeah, there's a couple of y'all.
Hey, Spencer,
Yeah.
Spencer, let me interrupt 1 second. 1 second. Gary Spikes. Well, everybody knows Gary, but he commented in chat, said he hated to ask, but he needed prayers also. Said he had 2 procedures going this week. So yeah, look, we're gonna bring that up right here where we're talking about it. But Gary, buddy, let us know what you got going on, and
yeah,
definitely everybody be praying. And I'll message you, and David, if there's anything that we can do, let us know.
100%, Gary. Give us a call, text, Facebook message, whatever, and just keep us in the loop, brother.
Yes, definitely.
Hey, Diane. Anyway, Michael X, everybody in chat. All right, let's get the party going. Randy.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna start with you. How'd you get into Bigfoot? What was the first? Well, first of all, you gotta tell everybody where you're at and a little bit about yourself. But how'd you get into boogers?
Okay. I live in White House, Tennessee, not the dump up in the farther up. We're about 20 miles north of Nashville. So I'm close to the Kentucky border, close to Craig. Just living out semi-country. It's getting kind of congested up here, but it's still a lot of farmland around. And as far as how I got into Bigfooting, I was interested since I was a kid, because there was a show that used to come on called Here Come the Brides. Y'all probably never heard of that because you're younger than I am. But it was not only bloggers up in Washington State, and they didn't have any wives, so they brought them in some women, and it was a funny show. But they had an episode about Bigfoot, and it was horrible. I mean, the costume was atrocious. Looked like maybe someone made it a possum hair or something. But that was my introduction to Bigfoot or Sasquatch. So that stayed with me. And then, like everyone else, all the other stuff came out, the Leonard Nimoy, and then the newer stuff, the Finding Bigfoot and all that stuff, which was good fun. So I wanted to get more into it, but I wasn't exactly sure what to do. So I signed up for an expedition, a pay expedition with Charlie Raymond. This was about 3 or 4 years ago. And what I wanted to do was learn, maybe meet some other people that had already become involved in investigating, and see what their techniques were, see what kind of equipment they use, so on and so forth. So that was my first introduction, and it helped. It was a lot of fun. I had my first, I call it a Class B interaction at that very first expedition. I haven't had anything as good as that since, but constantly looking. My wife, who is around here somewhere, she used to just humor me, but now she's kind of gotten bitten a little bit. And she will actually ask strangers, park rangers,
There you
workers, so on and so forth. Have you seen any Bigfoot around here? So that's a step up. When you get to that point, you've kind of gotten over the edge.
Well, first of all, did you say a pay expedition? Man,
Yes.
we're missing out. But so what happened? What happened? What'd you experience?
Okay. It was the very first night, and we went out. I guess it was about 9:30 at night, and
Where at roughly?
pardon me.
Where was it at roughly?
It was in Kentucky. I can't tell the exact location because it's private land, and we have to sign an NDA. But it was northeast of Lexington, and it was really out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, even driving up there was confusing. We had to actually stop and ask directions from some of the farm people around there because it was so remote. A beautiful place, and has a history of activity. Also, the gentleman that owned the land, his father had passed away a year before in a tragic tractor accident, and he was full-blooded Indian. So it had the whole Indian vibe about it. Had beautiful gorges, rock houses and ledges, water, even a river nearby, just a perfect habitat for boogers or Bigfoot or whatever you prefer to call them. But the first night we went out, my wife and Charlie and his wife, Lindsay, and they have a little dog, Whiskey, who goes out with them, a little terrier, very active, cute little dog. But we went out, we've been out probably an hour, 2 hours or something like that, standing around in a field looking for whatever might pop up, decided to move. And we went over to a road. It was like a access road, like a Jeep road, ATV road, that sort of thing, that went through the farm, and walked down that for a little ways. And Charlie said, let's try, doing some tree knocks and see if anything responds back. And so Lindsay pulls out her bat and does 3 tree knocks. Now, keep in mind, this is out in the middle of nowhere. We're far enough away from camp that you couldn't hear anything like that. The other teams were in different directions. It was just us out there. But she does this tree knock, or 3 tree knocks, and I'll try to imitate the sound. I said it was like someone trying to clear their throat. It was kind of, and we all looked at each other and didn't say anything because it was so loud and it sounded like it was so close that it was just a big surprise. And Charlie said, "Did y'all hear that?" And yeah. And then it happened again. And then maybe just maybe half a minute after that, a third time. And I was really surprised. And Charlie said, "I'm going to walk down into the woods where this came from and, see if I can figure out what's going on." So he starts walking down into the woods and tries to get a Whiskey, his little dog, to follow him, which she always does. She's a very active dog. She would not go down to those woods. She stayed up there under Lindsay's feet and he couldn't call her down there at all. But that was pretty much it. Although I came back the next day and walked all down into the woods looking for tracks or any kind of sign that I could come up with. But I was new at it at the time, so I didn't know as much as I know now as far as what to look for and be aware of. So that was it. I don't know what it was. I'd never heard anything like that before. I don't believe that there are some bears in the area, but not very many. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't that. So I'm writing it off as a possible booger noise. But I remain skeptical. I think it was Amy Boo I was listening to the other day. She said she describes herself as a hopeful skeptic. And I think that's a pretty good term. I'm going to steal that from her and use it going out, because I'd say I'm a believer, but until I actually lay eyes on something, there's still got to be a little bit of skepticism in your mind.
I think there should be a little bit of skepticism, no matter if you have seen them or know about them or whatnot anyway, especially with all the garbage that's on YouTube and Facebook. Let me ask you a question. Whenever it did the grunt or huff, whatever you want to call it, the noise, how far away do you think it was? How loud was the noise? Did the dog react at all?
Everybody just kind of froze, including the dog. Normally she's running around, but she didn't do anything. She kind of froze. As far as how close it would be, if it were a human being making a noise like that, I would think like 25 or 30 feet away. Now, if it was something as big as a booger with a lot more power, it could have been farther away, but I have no way of knowing. I just know it was very clear and it sounded very close.
Was there anything else? Any other? I mean, did you get the creepy feels? Did you feel anything that gave you trepidation?
No, I can't say that I did. I was more excited than anything. And once again, I was a greenhorn at the time. That's the first time I'd been out. No
smells?
No, I didn't do anything in my pants, if that's what you're getting at.
No.
No booger smell, nothing like that.
Okay. Well, was that the only thing that happened while you were at that location?
Yes. Now, some of the other people, they had a few kind of creepy things going on near a cemetery that one of the groups went out with, seeing some orbs or hearing some sounds or something. I can't remember what, but excuse me. When we left and went home, the landowner, I know he said that after we left that we must have stirred them up because they were doing a lot of howling and carrying on after everybody left.
Okay. Let me hit on Sherry's comment here. This is just my opinion. Everybody else can weigh in on this themselves. In my opinion, I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff. I've been out with a lot of people. And one of the things I notice is whenever you're out with a group of people and you're actively looking for boogers, everybody is on high alert, and there's a tendency to go, every little thing is something by Bigfoot. And, it brings up some of this stuff. There are people that I know. I'm not going to name any names, but there are people that I know where they'll send me pictures and I look at it and I'm like, I don't really see anything there. And, when it comes to stuff like that, if you have a picture that is clear, okay, put it out there. You're still going to suffer the wrath of everybody on Facebook or anything like that. They're still going to critique it. Half the people are going to say, oh, I see it and it's great. And half the people are going to say that's, it's not a booger because it's a picture. And I don't care if you got the new Patterson Gimlin film. If you had the next best Patty film, people would be saying, hey, it's AI that did that, or it's a guy in a suit, whatever. There are people, though, that, because of pareidolia, maybe they get a little bit overexcited. And I'm not saying that they're necessarily wrong. I'm not an expert. There are no experts. I'm saying that I've been around people that think every little thing is booger related. And I think it's beneficial. If you're being honest with yourself and everybody else, I think it's necessary to maintain a degree of skepticism. Now, if you're out somewhere and y'all are like, hey, I think there's something over there. You see eye shine, something break a branch, throw shit at you, all of that kind of stuff, it's fairly safe to say, yeah, that probably was a booger. But I just think that the way that the Bigfoot field is now, even if you know that they're real, doesn't mean that you just automatically assume everybody that is showing you everything that they have is 100% accurate. And it's not calling them a liar or saying that they're faking it or anything like that. It's just, hey, for all I know, let me finish on this. For all I know, there might be some people that are more sensitive than others and can see these things or have interactions with these things when other people can't. I mean, like in my case, to use myself as an example, maybe I'm just whatever, not that I can't see them, can't sense them, whatever. Now I've had stuff happen, but that doesn't mean that the person right beside me, if the person right beside me is like, hey, I saw an orb, and I turn and look and I don't see it, that doesn't mean that they're wrong and I'm right. I just think you have to maintain a little bit of skepticism in this field.
Hey, Spencer, I'll give you a good example. The next night, I went out with a different individual, Rick, and we went to a different location. Actually, it was kind of off the farm, if I remember correctly. And I saw a light, and I said, look, that light's moving. And Rick said, no, it's a porch light. And I kept looking at it. The more I looked at it, the more it moved. And he's like, I'm telling you, it's a porch light. And it was. It was a stinking porch light, but the wind was blowing and the trees were moving. And if that had been just me out there or me with someone else that didn't understand what was going on, I would have swore up and down that I saw orbs that night.
Well, and that goes into partially why you should always have someone else there with you, not just for safety reasons, but somebody else to help you validate what you're looking at. I mean, two heads are better than one. What do you think about that, Squirrel House? What do you think about maintaining? I mean, House, you know for a fact that the damn things are real.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's my deal. Well, let's jump back onto the pictures. Look, I've had people send me pictures. I had a man send me a picture this morning. Did it look like something's in it? Sure. But I didn't take the picture. I don't know the validity of it. I wasn't there. And anytime you're getting a picture, you're taking it out of context. The picture, look, I can see what they're seeing in the picture, but I wasn't there. That's the reason to me pictures don't really mean that much, especially nowadays when you can take a kid out of kindergarten and use AI and make something look absolutely real. I mean, in 5 minutes. So, I don't base anything on pictures at all. Yeah. What I base my judgment on is what I've lived for the last 24 years. And, I know that when I pulled up out here, like the end of March this year, the damn thing that was in my yard standing by my cabin that I'm sitting in right now was way over 8 foot tall, closer to 9, and it was massive. And I saw it take off running and move faster than a human could possibly move. I mean, I lived that. I went through it. I saw it with my own eyes. So I don't base my stuff on pictures. Now, that being said, these people like what he's talking about, a Class B encounter. Look, I was dealing with these things all the way up from 2000 to January the 29th of 2009. So I'm 9 years deep in it before I ever laid eyes on one. Now, I'm talking about dozens and dozens and dozens of encounters. I'm talking about scary encounters, including bluff charging, stuff thrown at me, tree knocks, tree breaks, screams, roars, howls, huffs, grunts, chest pounding. I'm talking about I've done lived through all this stuff many, many, many times. Right over here in these woods hunting, I couldn't see one. I'd had these things within 20 feet of me, huffing at me. I couldn't see them. They were in the thicket. it would be like me trying to look through this wall. But I still, even though I'd done lived through all this, and I had, look, this is what it's got to be. Till I finally saw one and could see it. Nothing between me and it but air. I could not grasp my hands around that's what it is.
Hey, Greg, do you think when you finally saw one, it's because you had become more aware in some way, or do you think it allowed itself to be revealed to you?
Well, the first one I saw, I mean, I was going down the road in a truck, and I rounded the curve, and the thing stepped out at, between 200 and 300 yards. And when I first saw it, I thought it was a person, but it was a long way off, and I saw it step out of the wood line, and it stepped out and stopped. And I was getting a total side image. I'm getting a side image of the side profile. And this thing steps out, and honestly, the first thing that hit my mind was, because this was January the 29th, and I got called in, had to work. We only had 29th, 30th, and 31st was the last 3 days of deer season. And I had to work. My wife, Wanda, was gone hunting. She was hunting with my cousin. And I was pissed because I had to work that day. The first thought that hit my mind at the end of this straightaway where the road banks to the left in a curve was I saw this guy step out. And the first thing I thought was, there that SOB is hunting and I'm having to work. And about the time that thought hit my mind, this thing went from a side view. It squares straight at me, and it's like it compresses. It just like squats. And I mean, I watch it go from tall to like it squishes down and gets wide, and its arms flail out. And I'm just like, and all this stuff is like lightning going through my brain of just like thoughts are just pop, 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 pop. But as soon as I see it do that, and it like drops, it don't go a long way, and it's like its hands go all the way to the ground. And I could tell that its arms are way longer than a person's. And this thing compresses, and it's like, oh shit, I'm caught. And that's when it clicks in me, this ain't a person. And that's when all this 9 years of dealing with this shit comes to, it boils up the head and explodes. And the thing like compresses, and it like hesitates for just a second. And, like it came from this way, and it steps out, and then it squares up, and it drops down. And it like hesitates. It's like I'm caught, and it goes like, oh crap, I'm going to dive back in the woods. Well, the thing like its foot toward the woods, which would have been its left foot, it steps way out toward the woods. You see its leg just stretch out, and then it like sways like it's going to go back, and it stops. And then it was like, no, hell no, I can make it. And this thing pivots, and that left leg comes off the ground, and it comes right back. It's like the whole thing turns, and it faces the road. And I watched this thing go standing dead still. This thing is standing, and I watch it just launch through the air. And this thing went over 20 feet horizontally, over a 5-foot elevation, because the road's up here. This thing's down here, and this thing jumps. It don't get a run and go. It don't run up the bank. This thing, it spins back around toward the road, and when it kicks off of 1 foot, the next foot that hit was on the asphalt. So that's what I've told people. I said, look, take the top of a 4-door car, just average, not SUV, but a car. Say a Toyota Corolla. That's going to be about 5 feet off the ground. Walk away from that about 20 to 25 feet, turn around and look at the top of that car, and you show me any person that can stand over here in a dead stop in a gorilla suit or without. I don't care if they're in their birthday suit, that can stand dead still and kick and land on top of that car and then take off running. That's what I witnessed. I saw that with my own eyes. We went back and measured from where it jumped to where it landed in the road. And then I saw it continue across a 2-lane paved road. Just its stride got a little longer, and it cleared another ditch on the other side of the road. And it jumped probably 14, 15 feet that time at about a 2.5-foot elevation just by extending its stride a little bit. And then watched it go through briars, just that you couldn't have got through hardly with a tractor. It ran through those like they weren't there.
Hey, y'all. I want to introduce my wife to you guys, and then so she can get on. And then I got a question for you, Greg. Okay, this is my squatching partner. Can you see her? Hey, ain't she pretty?
She's beautiful.
That's little Kim. All right, I just wanted to get her face in there. Hey, Greg, the question I got, it sounds like you've seen quite a bit of like facial features and all that sort of thing.
No, that's the bad thing for me. Randy, I had nightmares a lot of times after I had dealings with these things. Even the one out here that was within about 50 feet of me, I didn't get a good look at the face. I have yet to see one of these and I've seen them from the side to back where I could see the muscles, like when they were running. I could see like the biceps bulge. I could see on their thigh muscles like expand and contract as they were running. But what got me, and this is crazy, I know it's going to sound weird, I would have nightmares, like when I'd have these things bluff charge me, come crashing through the thicket and come up, I'd never be able to see their face. And I would have nightmares. Some of these encounters that I've had, it's been horrible. I mean, horrible. I really didn't think I was going to make it back out of the woods. I would have nightmares for weeks. I couldn't sleep because every time I go to sleep, I'd have a nightmare. And I had one reoccurring nightmare that was over and over and over of me running through the woods and one of these things chasing me. And I would get hit in the back like a big hand would hit me right between the shoulder blades. And I would just face plant the ground and roll. Well, then when I would come up, trying to get up, I was hurt and I was trying to get up. And when I'd come up, I could see these big hairy feet, calves, legs. And as I came up and just finally looked up, this thing would be in detail. The dream, the muscles, I could see everything on it. But when it would get to where its face, it would always be like you took wet ink and smeared it. My brain would absolutely refuse to fill in any facial features. Every time I ever had that dream, the face was always a blur because I've never been able to see one to where I could say, well, its nose looked like this, or its mouth was this way, or its eyes look this way. Now I've seen their eyes glow at night. They were like a dark orangey red. The one I saw across the highway on me, it's been 3 years ago now. I come over a hill when my headlights went down in the swag. There was one upright running across the road, and it was on the center line. And I watched it take 2 steps and jump off of about an 8-foot embankment, hit the ground, and run about another 15 foot and go into the pine timber. Oh. And I just caught it. It as it's going, it kind of turned, and I just seen the eyes glow. But I've yet to see one where I could sit here and describe the face that I've saw. I can't do it.
So my question was going to be, the ones you've encountered, do you think they're more ape-like or more human-like? I'm guessing you can't really say based on what you just said.
Body-wise, they're more, well, I don't know how to tell you. I mean, what I have seen, well, look, right here, the ones I've dealt with, that's what I could go into an hour-long deal on the reason I think that Roger Patterson's footage is 100%. Because the ones I've seen here look a whole bunch like Patty.
Spencer asked earlier about, when or how I got into this. I forgot one thing I wanted to mention, and that's Kerry Arnold. I think y'all all know who Kerry Arnold is or was.
Oh yeah.
I started following him and then got super interested in his stuff, and that branched off into other things. But his encounter was a scary one. And I don't remember. I think that was in Oklahoma, maybe, might have been Mississippi. But it sounds like some of the stuff that you went through. Have you ever considered being hypnotized?
No.
I think.
I'm damn sure wouldn't want Misty to hypnotize me.
I've talked about that before. I would love to be hypnotized. I think that would be, yeah.
There's There is a new thing that Doug Hightek's coming out with, Legend Meets Science 2, and they do some of that. It's not typical hypnotics. It's a different kind of hypnosis. And this lady actually gets these people to, like get back into their experience, and they were able to recall some things that they couldn't remember or couldn't recall, but it looked pretty interesting.
Well, I'll tell you this, Randy. As many encounters as I've had, and even the class, we'll just call them Class A, the sightings. Man, I mean, there'll be points in your life that you're thinking back on it, and you'll have to absolutely tell yourself, yeah, that happened. I saw it. This is what I saw, because it will creep up on you that you'll start doubting yourself sometimes. And the other good thing for me, a lot of these encounters that I had, not the ones that I saw, because I hadn't had anybody right with me when I saw them, but a lot of my encounters, I wasn't by myself. My buddy Alan was with me. Oh, my dad was with me a bunch of times. Alan's been with me a bunch of times. Oh, I can't tell you how much it just, I don't even know what the word is for the, I guess, excitement, or what, how it makes me feel. Like Spencer, Misty, Sherry, Donna, Mr. Jim, my friends, Mark Noble, that's come right here to my man cave and stayed 3 or 4 days or a week and experienced what I've told people. Look, this may happen. We may not have nothing happen, but me here crippled up with this leg messed up the whole time they were here. I can't get out and walk around. I was on crutches. They show up here, find stuff over here in the woods, find tracks, find tree breaks, go out in the woods right here and look around and find some stuff. Then we sit on the porch at night and we hear stuff happening. We see eyes shine. The next morning, they go out here and find fresh tree breaks, fresh little structures. Misty has heard, I don't know how many sounds right here, screaming, yelling, tree knocking. But to have my friends come here and me not do nothing, just y'all come, let's just act like nothing's going on, and them sit right here and witness, get to experience what I've been telling everybody, brother. I can't look. Money won't buy that. I mean, I can't even explain how that makes me feel. The validation of that.
Well, it sounds like you're in a very unique situation there. It is. Are there areas like that all over Alabama, or do you think you're in an area that's
no?
Unique?
Look,
It's
I
out.
can name you, me being one, I can name you 3 more that you could go do the same damn thing. One of them would be Coonbow's farm. One of them is at Mark Green's, and the other one's down at Flat Rocks.
Yeah.
It's Alabama. Alabama is a damn boogery place.
It's
Why
so
do y'all think that is?
We're friendly as hell.
It's a thick place. It's kind of like here around us. The woods are just
Alabama is
caves.
Yeah.
Alabama,
Go ahead, Spencer.
ecologically diversified state in the country. They have more of different terrains, and because of the amount of water that different plant life and many ecosystems, Alabama is very, very diversified, and I'm sure that has something to do with it.
Oh yeah.
And
Probably farmland also.
hey, oh yeah, there's farm
Crops.
Hey, Gary and Sherry, don't go chasing off all the new people and interrogating them. Gary jumps on the brand new people. Hey, I'm new to the channel. Thank you for being here, new to the channel. Please the thumbs up if you would. Otherwise, Gary or Sherry is going to show up at your house and like beat you with a wet magazine or something.
I noticed Bama was in there. Look here, Bama. This ain't fancy like them that Bama's got, but look here.
Yeah. You can, hey, now you can send in clips on Bama's show, and Bama can post the clips of you with the slingshot.
No doubt. Hey, son, I'm telling you, Bama's got stuck on the story about David and Goliath. That's why he's going to the woods with a slingshot from now on.
Hey, Wood. I asked last video. Kumbo didn't want to say the lady's name. I no one named Connie. That's all I'm going to say that was involved with Squatch like that. I'm wondering if that was her. Don't know, Justin.
He's told me her name, but I can't remember.
Well, so Craig, as you have sat there and patiently waited, tell us about yourself and how you got into the damn thing.
Well, of course, you go back to the same old, the film out there of Patty and the Legend of Boggy Creek. I had it in my mind, but I'm like, that's all out in the Northwest and Alaska and Canada, and can't be any around here. And I was me and the wife was up eating dinner with a friend of mine and his wife, and he just out of the blue said, "Do you believe in Bigfoot?" And I said, "Well, certain areas I might, but not here." And he said, "Well, I got a good friend that's got some pictures, but he don't show them many people." I said, "Well, I'd like to see him." So a couple weeks later, he called and said, the old man said me and the wife can come up and look at them. He had I think it was 10 or 11 pictures, and it was a male and a female together at a deer feeder. And this guy's at the time, he was 80-some years old. So I'm like, he's not making this up. And I mean, the pictures weren't like most of them that you see. These were in focus and as close as a few feet to 20, 30 feet.
Wow.
And the wife was afraid to leave the house and walk to the truck in the dark. And I'm like, well, I guess, they must be here. And then I've had, I think that Charlie Raymond guy, he's seen them, Randy, the pictures. But the old guy died a couple of years ago, and who knows where the SD card's at anymore.
Oh, that's too bad.
I had a friend that was a professional photographer, and I said, "Can you fabricate these? Can you make them?" He said, "Well, it would take thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment and somebody that was real, real talented." So that made me believe. And I've had a few things out here behind the house. I've never actually seen a booger, but I've heard a howl, and then a few hundred yards the other direction, one answered it. And we was on the front porch, and everybody kind of looked at the same time when this thing hollered, because we could hear it pretty plain. And I remember one morning I was up to go to work, and it's probably really better before I believed in them, because I wasn't afraid of anything like that. And it was dark, and I was walking towards the truck, and I heard a whistle, or kind of a deep, long, loud whistle, which would be out. I call it my backyard, but it's a field actually behind the house. And I stopped and I looked over towards the neighbor's house, and there wasn't anybody over there. I thought, well, it wasn't them. So I started walking again, and it did it again. Well, that time I picked the pace up. I was trying to get to the truck a little quicker so I could get in it. And that's the only thing as far as them right in this area that I've ever experienced. But
let me ask you a question, Craig. First of all, on the pictures that the older gentleman had,
right?
Did he take them himself? Was it from a game camera?
It was a game camera he had out by that deer feeder.
So there was a deer feeder. Were the boogers, were they doing any? If you had more than one picture, were they just walking through? Did they go to the deer feeder? What were they doing?
Oh, you can tell the male was moving around in that area right there. But the female, there was a couple pictures where she was squatted down and actually had her hand picking up corn or whatever he had out, some kind of deer feed or something. But I mean, you could see the breast on her, and she was, I'm not going to say petite, but she wasn't near as thick as he was.
No.
And there was one picture where his hand must have been right in front of the camera. And I mean, you could see fingernails and creases in the skin on the fingers and just the size of it. I mean, I didn't have anything to compare it to, but I mean, it just really looked big. The hands did.
Mm-hmm.
And did all this occur in Kentucky, Craig?
Yeah, it was in Ohio County.
Okay.
Well, I got to ask right quick, Craig, what all have you got on the wall behind you back there?
Oh, there's a few African animals, and a couple fish, and a kangaroo hide. And
Man, where all have you hunted at? My gosh.
oh, these were all in South Africa. We had a TV show on the Outdoor Channel for a while, and we was over there hunting.
Wow.
But I don't know if you can.
Oh,
That's the
gosh.
kudu.
Oh wow.
That's beautiful.
Man.
I didn't hunt any dangerous game, but just plains game, they call it.
That's beautiful.
Wow, that is cool. I just had to ask. I kept seeing stuff in the background.
That one thing, that's what they make the shofar out of, isn't it? That we'll call in the Bigfoot.
Yeah, after Timbo was talking about how much they was getting for him, I was halfway thinking taking a hacksaw out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, Craig, whenever you said that y'all heard the howls while you were on the porch,
Right.
were they,
Get out of here.
what caught your attention about the house?
What about it now?
What caught your attention about the house that made you think it might have been related? Were they different? Were they super loud? Did you get the feeling inside you?
Nah, I didn't get any feeling, but let me get rid of these dogs. They were loud, but I can't, I mean, it's not like something up close. They were probably 500 yards from the house.
But did it? So I'm assuming it sounded different than a coyote or something. And you.
Oh yeah, it wasn't like anything I'd ever heard.
Dog stealing the
Yeah, the dog's going to go for the mouse.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of sound what they call that Ohio howl, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they weren't, like I said, they were far enough away that it wasn't deafening to me or anything. But I mean, I've been in the woods my whole life, and there wasn't anything I've ever heard like that before. I guess that's what caught my attention.
What was the name of the hunting show that you were on?
Critter Getter Outdoors.
Critter Getter Outdoors.
Yeah. I used to turkey hunt in Alabama quite a bit.
Really? What part of Alabama was you turkey hunting in?
It was right across the Mississippi line mostly. Where, what is it? Louisville, Mississippi.
Okay, so you was just across in Mississippi.
And we were hunting in Alabama.
Okay.
But I can't think there wasn't any towns there in Alabama that I can even remember.
I wonder how far down the state you were.
About the middle.
About the middle? Okay.
Yeah, you know where West Point, Mississippi is?
Yeah.
Not too far from there.
Okay. Yeah, you would have been on further down than where I used to hunt the club. We were in the hunt club on the Mississippi line, but we were really close to Vernon, Alabama, or Detroit.
Yeah. There wasn't any sizable towns that I can remember there. Close.
There's not a lot down through there.
Now, I've turkey hunted down around Tuscaloosa and some around Montgomery, but I spent most of my time up further north than that.
Yeah.
Hey, I was going to ask Craig about the whistle. Whenever you said it whistled while you were walking out in the morning,
right?
Was it a monotone whistle? Was it a single tone, just a loud, shrill, single tone whistle?
Yeah, it wasn't real shrill, but it was just a monotone. It was deeper than what I can whistle.
Yeah.
But it was it didn't change any. It was just like started and run out and stopped.
And that's all that has happened right there at your property.
At my house, yeah. Now I've had an experience down at Land Between the Lakes, probably 1980, 81,
Yeah,
somewhere right in that area. And I mean, that was, of course, back then, I didn't believe in the Bigfoots. And we were down there bow hunting. Of course, I went to college 16 miles from there. So that's where I spent most of my time was LBL. And we were bow hunting and camping out. And I had one of them old Broncos. And you could lay the passenger seat down. I'd lay a foam pad down in the sleeping bag, and I'd stay in there. And I was in there one night. Everybody done gone to bed. I don't know what time it was. Something woke me up. And of course, at the time, I didn't have a firearm with me. All I had was a bow. And I sit up, and my latch on the back hatch was rattling, like something was trying to get in it. I thought somebody was trying to get me up or something. And I sit up and I looked out the back glass, and there was some kind of creature there. And now, from what I've learned, at the time I'd never heard of a dog man. I don't even know when that name came up. But I could look out that back glass and I could just see the shape of something. And there was, it had a big head, probably 18 inches wide or wider, 20 inches. And it had ears on the top, had pointed ears. I remember seeing that, but there wasn't enough light I could see any detail in the face or anything. So I'm like, well, this ain't normal. I don't have a gun. So I reached over to my bow and I just grabbed an arrow out of the quiver. It had a broadhead on it. I thought, if it does get in, that's the only thing I got. And then all of a sudden it just, like it lost interest and it turned and was gone.
Wow.
And I never even thought about it after that. I if I'd have known what I know now, I'd have been worried about hunting there, but I just never paid any attention to it. So
Was this the north end or the south end of LBL?
I was more north, but not way up north. I don't even exactly remember, we used to hunt down there around Jenny Ridge Road and back in through them bottoms and stuff along them creeks a lot. But I'm thinking I was a little further north than that. Of course, I've been from the Tennessee end to all of it. I've hunted every bit of it, just about. I've been hunting down there since '77. So
Larry used to hunt there a lot.
who?
Larry Porch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a good place.
It's beautiful.
So you wake up and there is something with a 20-inch head and dog ears on top of its head trying to get in the back of your thing, and you grab a broadhead arrow.
That's all I had. It was that or a hunting knife, but I mean, it was handy. That's all I had. If it had been like now, I'd have probably shot holes all over that thing. But I always carry a gun now. Back then, I don't even think I owned a pistol.
Did you get up the next morning and look for tracks or anything like that?
Never even thought about it. I got up and went hunting, but never even thought about that.
Hey, I have to say, when you're freaking going hunting, you're on a mission. First time I ever seen anything before I ever even got into this, me and my sister took a boat over to an island and I took her turkey hunting for the first time. Same thing. We get out, they had come through with a grater box and had cut like 2 rows of the bank back, and it wasn't nothing but red clay mud. And as soon as we pull the boat up and we get out, there's literally the biggest footprint I've ever seen in my life right here in the mud, coming straight up out of the water, one print in the mud and then straight up on the land. It had to have been. And you could see the texture in it. You could see all the little lines and stuff like that. And we're standing here looking over it and we're like, what the crap? I mean, who has a foot that big and comes up out of the water and can step that high up? And so we didn't even take a picture. We was just like, okay, well, let's go. It's going to get daylight. We got to get back here and get set down. And, you know, I mean, I didn't even think about Bigfoot. I mean, it kind of crossed my mind, but when you're not even dealing with this kind of stuff, it's like you get a lot on your mind. And sometimes you look back and you think, well, I wish I'd have took a picture or something anyways, but I've never seen a track as good as that in my life.
Really?
Wow.
We just had turkey on the brain.
Yeah.
Well, what about in the future? Do you like I know that Randy goes out. He actually goes out and hikes around, and he's kind of looking for these things. Craig, do you ever go out anywhere, and do you search for them at all, or?
A little bit. I remember here a while back he was telling me about those audio recorders that B&H had on sale.
Yep.
I did buy a couple of those and a thermal, but I'm not getting out right now. It's too many ticks. It's going to have to cool off a little bit.
Yeah.
It is very hot.
I'm trying to learn that audio recorder, and I don't know if I ever will, but I'd like to put them out up here behind the house and see if anything's still up here. I mean, I don't have great big woods, but, you know, there's 300 or 400 acres here, and then a couple crop fields and another couple hundred acres of woods just scattered around. So I don't know.
That's all it takes.
I don't know if they were just passing through but like a long time ago, I mean, I've probably heard other stuff as far as the wood knocks, and I just put it up to somebody doing something, you know, because I didn't really know anything about all this stuff till I started watching y'all's show and Mark and Larry's show.
Hey, Spencer, to bounce off what you just said, me and my wife have always been into hiking, kayaking, camping, stuff like that. And we've been doing it for years because we're pretty old. But now when we go out, it's different because we do have some skills. We know what to look for, and we're constantly looking either at the ground or up in trees or, you know, making noises, anything we can possibly to do to have some sort of interaction. And we're going to places like, there's so many places within a couple of hours of us, like LBL, like Mammoth Cave, Standing Stone, where Mary Green did the majority of her work years ago before she passed. Big South Fork is, you know, about 4 hours away, but a place that we go a lot. And this is just, to me, this has just added a new level of adventure to life. It's like I told one of my friends, it's like being a kid again. When you were young, you would, you know, imagine things and you would go around and make up things and look for things. And as you grow older, you lose that. And this has just opened up a new experience almost to me. And I just enjoy doing it. If I ever see anything, that'd be great. In all likelihood, I probably won't, but you know for sure you won't see anything from the couch. And the more you get out, the higher your likelihood of experiencing something is. And if that's only nature, then that's a darn good thing.
That's right.
You know, a lot of people, again, this is just me rambling on my own opinion, but a lot of people think that you can just go to an area, like they'll look on the BFRO or the Bigfoot Mapping Project, and they'll see where encounters have happened, and they'll get, if it's on public land, they'll go, well, we're going to go there and we're going to tromp through the woods. We're going to do, some type of call, and there's a big difference in the calls. But we're going to do some type of call. We're going to knock on a tree. We're going to scream, and we're going to try to get something to happen. And I would say that, in my opinion, just me personally, as somebody that has gone out in the middle of the woods and camped and inactive areas and tried to get them to come in, you do all kinds of stuff. You cook bacon, and you do knocks, and you do yells and everything. After doing this for years, I honestly truly believe that you're not going to get them to react unless they want to react.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're going to accidentally see one. I don't think. I mean, the chances of that are very rare. I do think that every once in a while somebody's driving down a road and one runs right across in front of them. And I don't think it has anything to do with that person was out there looking for them. It's just right place at the right time. But going in to find these things, I think, is not a very good plan. And I think the fact of the matter is, if you have an area that is active, if you just spend a lot of time there and you're doing your own thing, not really harassing them, I don't believe in doing a lot of calls or knocks or anything like that from camp. Just my experience. I think if you're in the right area at the right time of year, if you're just out there being yourself, if they're going to come in, they'll come in. And most of the time, I think they let you know. There's little things. The 500-pound owl call, the hoots, the whoops, the tree breaks, the throwing rocks and pebbles. And it's not always giant rocks. I mean, sometimes it's pebbles. I've been in a tarp, and I'm fairly positive it was them. I didn't lay eyes on them that time, but a step and then a pebble would hit my tarp, and then a minute later a step and then a pebble would hit my tarp. They do all kinds of stuff like that, but I just don't think going out in the woods and knocking on trees is going to get you a lot of results. But that's just my opinion. I do agree with what you're saying about it's just one more element to pay attention to. If you're already going to go out and go camping, if you're going hunting, if you're fishing, if you're hiking, it's one of the things that you should be paying attention to. There are probably so many people that have been hunting and camping and had stuff happen, and they just go, what was that? That was weird. And they just write it off.
Yeah.
There's probably millions of those kind of encounters.
Well, and Greg was sort of hitting at that earlier in the conversation.
Randy, the reason the only way that I've seen these things is just the sheer volume of encounters that I've had.
Right.
I mean, I'm in the right place all the time. That's what I tell Spencer all the time. It would be like, let's just say that you lived, let's say you were the last holdout in LBL, and that's where you live. You were there every day. I mean, I didn't go looking for these things. Now I do now. I'll go like with Coonbo, he'll call me and say, hey, let's go, which we hadn't in a while because he's been busy. Once he got moved back down here, we went boogering a few times, but I'll go with him all over North Alabama boogering, and we'll go look for him. But I mean, I try to tell people, and I know it sounds crazy to everybody because they're thinking, well, if I had all these encounters, I'd be the guy. I'd be the guy getting out there, and I'd be putting boots on the ground and da 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 da. No. No, my part of us is going to just keep doing what I'm doing because I have encounters pretty dang regular, and I get the encounters that these things choose to let me have. And I think the reason that I do get the encounters that I get by the sheer volume of them is because these things, honestly, I believe one thing they damn sure know that I know about them. That's without a doubt. And I think that them coming around here, they know that I'm not trying to antagonize them. I'm not irritating them. they come up, let it be known that they're here, and we have these encounters, and it's just kind of like a neighbor. You'll see them or hear them, you'll know they're there. They let us know they're there. Last Thursday night, I was on live chat with River and David Blaylock and Jeff Yarrington. Jeff had went to sleep. He was sitting like this, just fell over snoring. River was talking. Me and David's listening. We're live chatting. Of course, we're not live, on a show. It's just us live chatting. Y'all, I'm sitting in a recliner about 10 feet over here in my other chair, and I'm using my telephone. I've got my phone and got it propped up, and we're just talking. River's talking. Y'all, it's quiet, and it was exactly 1:35 a.m. Friday morning. My 500-gallon propane tank, which is about 20 feet from the porch, which is from where I was sitting, is about 30 feet. That propane tank, it rang like a gong. It was like a church bell. Boom, 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 boom. Y'all, something hit that tank, and I'm talking about it hit it hard. That tank absolutely rang like a church bell, and it was so loud in here that River is talking, and he immediately stops. He just hushes, and he's like staring at the computer, and I see David perk up, and I turn my head and look toward the wall, and they start going, "What was that? What the hell was that?" I said, "Y'all heard that?" And they're like, "Oh," River's like, "Oh yeah, brother, it was loud. It was very loud." And David's like, "Oh yeah, I heard it." And I said, "Well, I didn't know if y'all heard it." I said, "Yeah, guys, it was loud in here." I said, the only thing out there that could have made that noise was that propane tank. All right. It never made another sound. It didn't do nothing else that night. I stayed on the chat with them for a couple of more hours. Nothing ever happened. Well, then Friday, that was that Friday AM, Friday PM, Coonbo and his wife Sandy came down here. We went out to eat. And then we went on a show with D.A. Roberts. No, that wasn't Friday. That was, that would have been Saturday when we went on with Coonbo. That's right. This happened Friday morning. Well, then it was Saturday evening. I walked out to that propane tank when we got back from eating. I walked out to that propane tank and looked all the way around it. I didn't see any because everything's dry as a powder keg, hard as a rock. There is a bunch of pine straw. I didn't see any tracks or footprints or impressions. But I can sure tell you one thing. There is not a tree limb. There's nothing out there that could have hit that tank, fell out of a tree, nothing. There's nothing that could have hit that tank within 20 feet all the way around it. Nothing that could have fell on that tank and made that noise. It had to be something went by that tank or up to that tank and hit it with something. So,
yes. Hey, 3D, yes. DA is out of surgery. He's back home now.
Yeah.
Robbie said that he's doing good, but still, y'all, continue thoughts and prayers, speedy recovery and all that kind of stuff. Hey, House, while you were talking, Cam Buckner jumped in here real quick and said hello.
No doubt.
Hey, Cam.
Cam, you got to get back on here with us one day. And look, I'm waiting in the wing, brother. I'm waiting.
Hey, Spencer, could I ask a question?
Yeah.
And if y'all don't want to answer this, or if this is off subject, just say so. I don't care. But I'm curious from each of y'all, why do you do what you do? And I'm not talking about the podcast. I'm talking about in pursuit of boogers or Sasquatch. What are your goals, or why do you do it, and what do you hope to become with all that?
Squirrel, go ahead.
What? I don't want to go first. Okay, whatever.
Ladies first.
Well, I got into it because of Sherry. Honestly, I never believed in Bigfoot, never had thought the first thing about it, but I've seen stuff and grew up like with a lot of paranormal stuff from the time I've been really small. So, if stuff like that can be real, why can't Bigfoot or Dogman or whatever Yeah, that's a lot of it. And I like being scared. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's exciting to go out and look for this kind of stuff, and like literally have your knees knocked together and be like, holy crap. And then, you're just so scared that it's like you can't wait to go back and do it again.
I
And
think one of the most scary.
I don't care about, proving nothing to anybody, because I'm like you, Randy. I feel a lot like you do on that. I've seen shadows. I've heard things I can't explain. I've got calls from here behind my house, that's been put on a spectrogram and shows what we all think to be a possible booger. But I've never seen one like Greg has. So until I've actually really physically seen one that I can say that's what it is, I mean, I truly want to believe, but I'm still kind of, I'm kind of on the fence about it.
Well, I'm gonna throw this in right quick. I know Misty's been terribly frightened right here in that bedroom, and what she keeps saying, she hadn't saw one. She hadn't got a good look at one because me and her and Combo saw one right here one night.
Yep.
I mean,
I've seen silhouettes at LBL. I've seen stuff I had something come up behind my tent at Daniel Boone, and I literally heard this thing sniffing at my tent. No lie. We go out the next morning, me and Sherry, we find two different sets of tracks coming from the exact same way that I told them that I was hearing it. And explain that. It was cold. Nobody's going to be out there walking around barefooted. This was right through the creek, straight up the back of the bank to my tent, straight down over to where Larry and Debbie was. And I heard it walk straight off that way. I can't explain it, but I didn't see it for myself, so I can't say 100% that's what it was. But it's interesting when you start getting into this and you start paying more attention to stuff when you're out in the woods. I know a lot of times I have to go in by myself to get dogs whenever we're bear hunting. And I used to walk in and not think the first thing about being by myself, and it's starting to get dusky dark. And now it's a little different, when you start doing stuff like this, and then you go to walk in and you're like, man, I got to hurry up and get up there and get them dogs. I got to get out of here.
Once you know that they're real, it gives you a different perspective.
yeah.
Yes.
House, why do you now? I gotta say, Randy, in all fairness, Greg is coming to hang out with everybody and to like Greg, you can tell him, but I mean, it's not like Greg's not the adrenaline junkie going out seeking these things.
I don't have to go seek them. Really, I mean, these things found me. That's exactly what happened. I was living my life and I was perfectly happy. I was just an old redneck hillbilly here in Alabama that enjoyed the outdoors like I had my entire life. And then I started hunting a different piece of property, and we developed it and planted green fields, and these things started coming around, and it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And then it got bad. I mean, there was several years there. It was touch and go going to the woods. And, I done made peace that I might be the dude that has to try to kill one of these things. And it was bad for several years. I'm talking about, I mean, these things would steal deer from me. They would, I'm talking about and like I tell people, I'm not talking about shoot a deer and then we'd track it and just couldn't find it. I knew I made a good shot. I'm talking about deer that I shot and went to them, laid hands on them, picked their head off the ground, look at their horns, lay them back down. The deer's dead as a biscuit. Leave be gone 10, 15 minutes and come back. My deer be gone. It wasn't drug. It was just like picked up and towed it off. And I'm talking about a piece of property. There was not only one way in or out for a person to have got that deer. And, I was in the path to get in there. And, they stole 6 deer that we laid hands on. Dead deer, leaved and come back to get them. And the deer be gone. And
did you ever find any of them like up in trees or anything like that?
Never found any in a tree. Now we had one that when they got done with the carcass, they brought it back and flung what was left of it out in the field. And if you'll read the Tal Bronco, Bill White's book, the Southern Bigfoot Files, that's one of the chapters in his book. That was me and my dad. My dad killed that deer. But I went back about 3 days later, and the carcass was flung. I could see where it was It went through the air, and you could see where it impacted the ground and rolled. And they had stripped that thing down, and but they brought the carcass back and threw it out in the field.
Was it they mainly eating the innards, or do they eat part of the fleshy muscles and stuff?
They had all the insides. That thing was hollow inside, and a lot of the big pieces of meat were going off the outside. Yeah, but that's what got me into it. Was, you know, I started hunting a different area, and just they found me. That's what got me into it. And I'll tell you, I went for years. I wouldn't do a show. I'd had people beg me to come and talk about my encounters, and I wouldn't do it. I was afraid of the ridicule. And then I did one show for Chuck Schlab several years ago, and then I kind of got conned into it to do because buddies of mine, Nate Bolin and Jack Oakirk, they were doing the Big Dog TTB about 5 years ago, and they taught me, it's like, man, please come to, you know, do our show. And it weighed on me. I got the feeling that, you know, just the people that had done some shows and this and that, and the guidance that I had from these people, that it helped me. And it weighed on me that if nothing else, if I get out and just be as brutally honest as I could be with people and talk about my encounters, that there was somebody out there going through what I had been going through that needed to hear it from somebody else. So that's the only reason I've been doing it. I mean, look, I've met a wonderful wad of people that I look at as family. These two sitting up here with me, I mean, golly, I'd fight a bear for either one of them. Now, you know, for Misty, I'm talking about a polar bear, a grizzly. Spencer would be more like a care bear, but yeah, maybe a gummy. But look, I mean, and you know, I've met some wonderful people, and y'all, it's amazing to me, the group of people that I have met and that I look at as family. And, you know, most of them's right here in this chat, and it's just astounding. But I felt guilty for not talking to people, because I felt like, well, like Bill White, I owed that man an unreal debt of gratitude, because he answered so many questions for me. He's the one that hooked me up with Coonbo. You know, Coonbo is like, he treats me like a little brother, and I look at him like a big brother. And I mean, he lives 50 miles from me. You know, I can't even explain. Troy Allen. You know, I met Troy through Coonbo. And Coonbo and his tight group of buddies and researchers, I mean, his inside group, them guys took me in like a lost puppy. I reckon I look pitiful, because they absolutely took me in. And, you know, I owe them guys just an awesome debt of gratitude, because, you know, I was lost as Moody's goose dealing with these things. I mean, I was having to figure it out on the fly by myself. And you talking about tough. I mean, there wasn't no internet when I started dealing with these things, or at least I didn't have any access to anything like that. I was looking shit up in libraries and, you know, going and trying to look and read books. And, man, I was lost. So I finally just weighed on me that maybe that's what the Lord wants me to do, is to talk to these people. And if they can hear me talk, it'll give them somebody to talk to. And y'all, I have people send me private messages, and I'll wind up talking to them. And they're like, look, I ain't never told nobody this, but this is what's happened to me. I heard you talking, and this fits with what I've experienced, but I'm not coming on the show. I don't want people to know, because I don't want people to make fun of me. And y'all, just having somebody to talk to, that means the world to people. And like Jeff Yarrington told me the other day that's the reason he decided to come out, was because he had heard me talking. I said, brother, look, you don't owe, look, I mean, that's unreal. But, you know, that's basically what he said, that's how he got started, was listening to my encounters. So, you know, if I can help that one person, it's worth it.
Well, you know, I'm a junkie as far as podcasts go. I've listened to so many, and I've heard that theme over and over from people such as yourself that's been through a traumatic experience, and they come out of that thinking, you know, like you said, maybe I can help someone that's afraid to come out and talk about their experience, maybe get it off their chest. What about you, Spencer?
About Hitting it off.
Oh, don't not have nothing to
No,
say now.
no, just about why you do what you do.
Oh, I, my answer is a little bit different than I think the average person's is, which is I got really fortunate the way that I came into it and the people that I met right off the get-go. And I realized real quick that these things were real. And I wasn't going out there trying to prove it to anybody. I was continuing to go out there trying to understand how they were doing, what they. I mean, whenever you see batteries being drained, stuff like, oh, okay, here recently, whenever Squirrel and I were at Greg's, whenever they slapped on the side of Greg's man cave where Squirrel was sleeping, and she had just said that night, she had said, right, but well, that day, I think it was, she can correct me. God knows she will. She had just said, man, I hope something slaps on the side of the house while we're here. And it slapped right where her head was by the, on the wall. I mean,
What a coincidence.
all kinds of weird stuff like that. I mean, like me personally, several times I found tracks, 1, 2, sometimes only one, but mostly like 2 or 3. And then they just disappear. And, I hunt and I'm into the wilderness survival thing. I've taken tracking classes. I'm walking around looking in concentric circles, can't find anything. And to me, that's the bigger thing. Some of the stuff that we were talking about earlier, pictures and videos and all that stuff, I don't care. I've caught glimpses of what I think are them. I've not had a class A sighting, not like Greg or a lot of other people have had. I've not had that, nothing between me and it but air, and I could see it at 30 or 100 yards away. I have not had that. But I would say that what I've seen through a thermal and what I've seen personally being there, like at Mark Green's was just, I mean, that was crazy for me. The 500-pound owl calls, seeing the white lights up on the hill across the lake that were like flickering. It'd be one here, and then 20, 30 feet away, there'd be another one, then further up the hill, and then seeing the shadows move. I've never seen anything like that. Now, I've had stuff happen where they come in and throw stuff and growl and break branches and shit like that. But the reason why I keep going is because I'm just trying to understand how they can do what they do. And I'm also trying to understand in my own head. I started out and I'm still 90% that these things are flesh and blood. I think that they're flesh and blood with some kind of attributes that we don't understand. That's just my own opinion. But I will admit that in the 8 years or so that I've been doing this in active areas with some of the people that have the most experience in this field, telling me stuff and guiding me and helping me and all that kind of stuff, I have definitely opened my mind to the possibility that there's something more going on here than just the flesh and blood. I don't know how to explain it, but the mystery of it, I guess, long story short, Randy, the mystery of it is what keeps me going. I mean, there are times whenever I've been scared. There are times, not like terrified, but definitely shaken, rattled, nervous. Uh, and the damn dog man is something that I do not want to run into, but I keep carrying my ass out in the middle of the woods and looking for these things. So I don't know. That's my answer.
Well, I like that answer. The word mystery. I think that's an excellent way to describe what this addiction, and it almost is an addiction, to this phenomenon is. It is mysterious. It's known, at least to some of us or most of us. And it's just, I so much want to understand more of what's going on, just like you just said.
Look at him. Look, Haywood, you asshole. Be quiet.
He's getting better. He's getting better.
Squirrel, what were you going to say?
I'm just going to say I'm going to correct you because, you said I would. So obviously.
Lord knows.
I didn't have a smack on the house. Greg has had that, not me. I wanted them to smack on the house and woke up to my head shaking in the bedroom on the pillow. So, I'd have much rather took the smack on the house.
I find stuff like that. There are two camps. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are a lot of people that are open-minded in the Bigfoot field. But for the most part, it seems like there are the flesh and blood people that are very close-minded. They're like, hey, it's an ape, it's a relic hominid, and they look for everything physical, and they don't weigh in the other stuff. And then there are other people that have experienced, I can't speak to like mind speak or lost time or any of the woo kind of stuff. There was one time that I experienced something that was really freaking strange. But all I'm saying, until we get to a point, kind of what Greg was talking about earlier, until everybody starts being open and communicating. I know I've said this 100 times on the show, but I'm going to keep saying it until it happens. Until everybody starts being a little bit more open and communicating and willing to compare and share notes with everybody else, we're not going to figure this thing out. We've known about these things for hundreds of years, but I think there are very few people that have a real good grasp of what's actually going on, and there are very few people that are open-minded enough to bring in all sides and, compare notes from everything. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
Well, you know what really gets me is how you can have a set of tracks and it'll be in an open field I've heard people talk about, and they get out there and all of a sudden they just stop.
Well, Craig, think about this. If you're following along looking, I know I've thought about this since the last time. Well, not the last 2 or 3 times I've found them, but whenever I was first finding, think about this. If you're following along and you see 1 or 2 tracks and they like extra large footprints, and then the tracks are gone, the average person is still looking for that footprint track. If it dropped down onto all fours and was on its knuckles and the balls of its feet, the toes, are you looking for that? Are you looking for, did it jump into a tree or onto a down log? Or, I will say, as a lot of people do, I'm not saying this is it, but are there other dimensions that the damn things somehow can jump into? I don't know the answer to it, but if you find the tracks, y'all, for everybody that's listening to this, if you find 2 tracks in a row, they're 5-6 foot apart, they're 18 inches long, 7 or 8 inches wide, got a square heel, maybe you see a mid-tarsal break, like Misty was talking about, you're seeing dermal ridges and everything, you're not able to prove it to everybody, especially over the internet, especially with a picture, because picture and video suck for taking pictures and videos of tracks. But if you're there, you have a really good gut feeling of, hey, I'm out in the middle of nowhere and there's a damn track right here. If you see that, you've got a good idea if it's real or not. If you saw 1 or 2 tracks and then there's nothing else, what do? Do you go, okay, well, I don't believe that it's a booger because I only saw 2 tracks and I couldn't follow it all the way and find a Bigfoot sitting by the damn creek, does that make you just go, no, they're not real? Or does that make you go, how are they doing this? If you fall into the how are they doing this camp, then I would say, like me, that's more of the question than getting like a picture of them or a video of them or whatnot. They do some really damn weird things. I can't explain it, and I don't know a lot of people that claim that they can explain it.
Well, let me throw this in. Like I said, like I told you, the first one that I finally saw, when I finally saw one, the first one I saw, I mean, I watched that thing do something that should be impossible for anything. I mean, I cannot explain how something that big, because we went back and measured where this thing went by a privet hedge bush that was by itself where it had been bush hogged around it. And I saw it run. It ran just on my side of that privet hedge, and it was pretty close where it ran by it. So I had something the top of that hedge bush to gauge where its head was. Well, that privet hedge was either 10'2" or 10'4" to the top. So that put this thing that I saw 8.5 foot, 8.5 feet tall at least. All right, I saw this creature that was at least 4 feet from shoulder to shoulder. 4 feet. And I'm guessing from its chest to its backbone would have been over 2 feet thick. I mean, I watched this massive, massive thing from a dead stop launch its body up and through the air. And it was like it was so effortlessly. It's like it didn't take, like it wasn't straining. It was just like it just, choo. It was, honest to God, it was like watching Colonel Steve Austin in the Bionic Man show. He just launched and landed up on this road. And y'all, I mean, I can't do it justice to how fast this thing was. It was like watching a normal video, but somebody's hit fast forward. That's the way this thing moved. So look, these things can do things I mean, till you see it, I cannot do it justice describing what I've seen them do.
House, didn't you say that you and your dad went back and looked at that exact spot where you saw it jump and cross the road?
Oh, yeah.
Did you find tracks?
Yeah, we didn't find them like in the short grass where it was out in like where it came out. And of course, it missed this 20-something foot gap up that hill. But there was a game trail, a real wide game trail that came out of these pine trees. And I walked back in like where this thing came out from. And all I was finding was about every 5 or 5.5 feet, I would find these real big oval. It was just an oval impression in the pine straw. It was compressed down really deep. But you could see where that thing had walked up that game trail. And, I followed it, I don't know, probably 100 feet. But, I mean, there was nothing to get out of it other than here's where it came through. It was just, just a big oval impression in that pine straw where he walked up through there. But like I said, this thing stepped from out there in that mowed down grass. It was real short. I mean, I watched it, like I said, go 20-something feet from dead still. It went horizontal 20-something feet to a 5 foot or so elevation, just like a snap of the fingers.
Hey, Z1, I would love to hear about that, and I'm sure Greg would too.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, hit us up on the email, and that way we can talk to you on the phone and everything. Pretty please. And anybody, it's becoming ridiculous to get guests. Come on, y'all. Anybody that is watching this show, if you've got something you would like to talk about with everybody, please hit us up on that email. And, we'll reach out to you. And I'm sorry, I'm scrolling down through the contacts now. We'll reach out to you and we'll find a way to work it out. But pretty please, y'all. I keep everybody in the Bigfoot field says this. We need a comment.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
We're kind of like a long distance commune right now.
Mhm.
It's safer that way.
Yeah.
I think these. Oh, thank you, Bill. Appreciate it, brother.
Hey, I got something to bring up. Blaylock, am I saying his name right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see that post he put on Facebook about Bigfoot being spotted on the beach in Oregon and swimming over to the Rock Islands and stealing eggs?
Yeah.
I
Was
didn't
that
see it.
was that just like funny, or was he actually actually supposed to really happen?
Don't know.
I don't know either.
I got a niece that lives out there in Astoria. I've reached out to her to see if they've heard of anything, but I haven't heard back from her.
If you want Bigfoot swimming, though, something that a lot of people don't bring up, man, what is the name of the town? Kumbo and Dan Ricky would know right off the top of their head, but there is a place in Oklahoma. It's a lake that has had a lot of people that swimming or boating go missing in, and they didn't recover the bodies. And there were several people that said that they saw something very large and dark swimming through the water. And I will also say, y'all need to go back. If you're just getting to the Bigfoot field, go back and see if you can find a lot of the old Bigfoot Outlaw podcasts, the Bigfoot Crossroads podcast. Listen to Dan, Ricky, and Kumbo talk about finding the holes dug in the side of the creek banks, big holes, like pretty much caves, dug in the side of the creek banks where Kumbo crawled up in there. I think I'm getting this right. Kumbo crawled up in there. Dan Ricky was standing there with a flashlight right at the edge to make sure nothing crawled in after him. And they found very large fingerprint like swipes in the mud where it looked like something with human hands had dug out that holler in under the bank. Interestingly, it was underneath the roots of very large trees, so that the trees and the roots kind of made a roof where it wouldn't fall in. But I think that boogers can swim. Thomas Bernstein, is that his name? Somebody can correct me on that. The guy from Alaska, the guy that smokes a pipe. But anyway, he is documented a lot of people talking about that one island off the coast of Alaska where plenty of people have seen boogers swimming from the coast to that island. I forget the name of the island.
Well, I know Kunbo told me about one that come off the bank, hit the water, and God, it was a long way, like 100 or 100 something, 150 yards. The thing surfaced. It swam that far underwater before it came back up.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Wendell. What do you keep commenting? I don't even know what that means, Wendell. Larry went in. Larry went in where? What are you talking about?
I think he's talking about going in the bank. No, I know Kunbo, him and Dan Ricky were somewhere, and he went in there because Kunbo's told me a bunch of times. He said it looked like a big splayed out hand was digging in. He said you could see the finger grooves where this thing had dug that hole.
Well, look at people when they're noodling for catfish in the side of the creeks and things. I mean,
Oh yeah,
you gonna stick your hand way back in there? You got to dig out a little bit or whatever sometimes to get them out.
That's it, Robert. That's right. Well, no, he was talking about. I'm pretty sure. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was an island off the coast of Canada. I thought he was talking about an island off the coast of Alaska, which Alaska is up there by Canada. I might be wrong. I'm not sure, but it is. It's Thomas Steenberg. Thank you for that, Robert. Well, anyway. Well, y'all, my phone's about to die. You got anything more to add to the conversation, Craig?
No, I was down in Texas. We were down there turkey hunting, and the guy that owns the ranch took us out. First time I'd ever been spring turkey hunted,
What?
and we got set up in the dark, and it was all nice and quiet. And we heard some kind of vocalization from something. Of course, I don't live down there, but it was kind of a deeper growlish holler is all I could say. And then you heard like a pig. Do what?
I was talking to Chris at Discovery Watch.
You heard like a pig squealing, like something's got it. And me and my buddy looked at the guy that owned the ranch and said, "What was that?" He says, "I don't know. I never heard that before. Let's get out of here." So we left. I don't know what that was, but that was close to the Mexico border too.
Well, you being a hunter too, I mean, you hear a lot of things where a lot of people that's not used to being out in the woods here, especially the way you was traveling and hunting,
Yeah.
and you're hearing things that you can't explain. I mean, what is it?
I have no idea, and he didn't either. And I mean, he grew up on that ranch, so. But it scared him enough. He was ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, just so you know, Art 120796, some of the best times that we have found tracks and other stuff, other noises and all kinds of stuff at LBL is whenever they let the water out and the freshwater mussels are available and they're huge. And we found stacks of the shells just split open and piled up right there. And we found them way up in the woods, stacks of the shells piled up in the woods. And something I was going to touch on earlier, just so everybody knows that ends up watching this, what Randy was talking about with locations. There are 3 places that if somebody came to me right now and said, "Prove that Bigfoot is real, take me out somewhere." And of course you can't prove it, but you can only hope that something happens while you're there. But based on my experience, I will tell you that Daniel Boone National Forest, depending on where and when you go, and that's some inside stuff right there, but Daniel Boone National Forest, Land Between the Lakes, and I'll go ahead and tell you that Land Between the Lakes, November and October, very active. And Alabama, pretty much anywhere in Alabama. That's been my experience.
That's good information.
Well,
I look forward to visiting those places again soon.
Other places, Cherokee, North Carolina has got stuff going on. I could tell you places around here, but if you want to go somewhere where you had a really, really decent chance of getting activity, those are the places that I would take someone. But you better know what you're doing before you carry your ass in there.
yeah.
Y'all were talking about those freshwater mussels at LBL, the Green River that goes down through Mammoth Cave and all around Kentucky, full of those freshwater mussels also.
Yeah,
I bet Craig has probably seen that.
The Mammoth Cave gets a lot of reports too.
Yeah, the Green River up around Mammoth Cave is a lot different than the Green River here. Here it's deeper and muddier, and up there it's a lot cleaner.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, thanks for coming on the show. Greatly appreciate it.
Yes.
I think we've got someone for next week. We'll see. I got to go tend to these beef ribs, and my phone's about to die.
Hey, I got to spritz my butt too. Hey,
y'all,
hey,
look.
That's good stuff. Did you try it? That's good.
Yeah, I'm cooking with it right now.
Did you get that at Walmart?
Yeah. After you mentioned it, I went and got some.
Yeah, it was at Walmart here. It was only like $6. And normally I don't buy other people's rubs. I make my own, but I heard somebody else mention it, and I just grabbed a bottle and tried it. That's really good stuff.
Look forward to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
How-
So Sherry Coonbo and Mark's gonna be on August the what's the
I think it was August 1st.
I'm going to go back into it. Hang on.
Mark and Dave? Okay.
That's one of my favorite subjects right there.
Yeah, and they do a really good show with this. When the guests, when they were sitting and talking, they're really, really knowledgeable on the subject and get into a lot of different things on it. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the link again. Let's see. Here it is for the channel.
There you go. Stardust Beast.
I'm telling you, I know Mark. I know Mark's been real busy. He done that show that he done. He put a lot of time and effort in it. But boy, we sure have been missing them not doing shows.
I know. I don't even get to talk to him much anymore. And y'all, Bama Murdoch, if you're into slingshots, go check out his channel.
Yes.
Christy, the Nephilim shoe part 1 was great.
What is it?
We know what she means.
No, I had to put that up there. She gives me hell all the time.
What is it? Bama's is like frog level slingers or something, ain't it?
It's
I don't know. But I tell you what, how cool is the name of that place? Like, I want to move there just so I can say, oh, I live in a place called Frog Level.
No doubt.
So cool. All the bamboo. I swear, he works at this farm, and it is the coolest freaking place when he does these little videos.
Something I didn't know what you were talking.
And not everybody can sport cut off overalls.
You're right. Hey, it takes a manly man to wear cut off overalls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emma is just that damn cool.
Hey, look, let's get back to the nitty gritty of the Woodwalker show. Look, Misty's on board. I mean, I done jumped out there and went.
Whoa! Now I don't know what you're talking about. Don't start hollering. I'm on board.
Oh, you know you are. I'm talking about my permanent body alteration in dedication to the Woodwalkers.
Oh, you're tapped?
Got my ink. Yeah. So Spencer Jameson, the ball's in your court, brother.
Nope.
Oh my God.
I'm tattoo free.
Yeah.
Me too. Different strokes for different folks.
Thank you, Paula.
Hey, Pyro, I told Wanda that I was gonna get the Woodwalker logo tattoo. She's like, "Where are you gonna get it?" I said, "I'm gonna get it like a tramp stamp."
Oh.
And she was all about it, wasn't she?
Yes, she was. Look here.
No.
What? All right. Well, anyway, guys, yeah, I see all the comments. Thank you for jumping in here and joining us. Craig, Randy, thank you again. Thanks a million.
It was my pleasure. Tons of fun.
Yeah.
Eventually, we'll be on here.
Yep. Big love, everybody. And look, y'all don't forget who we need y'all praying for. Please, please. Keep all these folks in your prayers. And especially, we got to worry about Brother Gary there now. Look, we got to put him top of the list because, you know, we got to count on him. I mean, he's got big shoes to fill.
Bobby Yuntz said she's got some stuff going on too. So I don't
Oh,
know.
really?
I don't know. She usually private messages me on Messenger, and we talk a little bit. But I'll have to check on her and see what's going on.
Yeah.
I
noticed a while ago she said something about she was going to be listening because typing was hurting or something. So
yeah.
So y'all. I mean, hey, look, I'll ask you if nothing else too. I mean, pray for all these people as a whole. And pray for our country. We're in a bad place right now.
Oh, my God. Don't.
That's the truth.
Hey, Wood, we know better.
All I asked everybody is just pray that the Lord's will be done. That's the best thing to do.
All I ask everybody is to not get violent and freaking stupid over politics.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. We're out of here. Thank you guys. See you next week. Love y'all.
Thank you guys. Y'all have a
Yeah.
good day.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Free socks.
Squirrel.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Spencer. We're swapped around.
Huh?
We're swapped around again. Hold on.
Yeah, I know you do it on purpose.